So I had lots of jobs, none of them for too long. I've always written poetry, not a fast track to fame and fortune, and started writing stories when I was in the hospital. I actually sold one for $150 before I was out of rehab. So the idea of doing it for a living was pretty natural. How far could it be from Ellery Queen's mystery magazine to the bestseller list? I still don't know, but it's more than 9 years. I wrote a novel, and it did about as well as most first novels, which is to say my mother bought 10 copies and a few thousand other people must have thought I was a relative. I did get 2 or 3 good reviews and a couple of poisonous ones, notably from the Times. It bothers me to know that I probably got into graduate school because I got reviewed in the Times. They hated the book, but evidently thought it was important enough to warn potential readers away. I guess every writer who's been a soldier has to write his war novel. I can't stand to read the damned thing anymore, though I hate to think that maybe the Times was right. Second novels are a hard sell, especially if you don't have cheerful blurbs from the first. Puerile, shouts the New York Times. A worthwhile journeyman effort, mumbles Publishers Weekly. My hometown newspaper called it a good read, but I went to high school with the reviewer. So my second novel has been to some of the best addresses in New York, according to my agent, but it hasn't been invited to stay. The agent, Barb Goldman, probably took me on because she's a vet, too. Twice my age, she was in the 100-hour war that started the whole thing, before 9/11 and Gehenna. When I go up to New York, we get drunk together and remember the desert. Old sergeants whom we sincerely hope are dead by now. Drinking with her, I've never felt the crazy urge to fight. Maybe because she's older than my mother and would die of embarrassment. Maybe because the bars we go to are a little nicer than the ones I frequent in Florida. Get into a fight in the Four Seasons and you might hurt somebody who could buy your book. So she called and asked whether I'd like to make some easy money doing work for hire, and of course I said, "Who do you think I am?" She knew exactly who I was and said I could make $50,000. Writing a sort of novelization of a movie by Ron Duquest. I said it sounded like a fun way to pay for the next 2,000 cases of beer, and she said that's good, because she'd already accepted. She knew I liked fantasy and horror, and this was going to be a horror movie. And that was not all, not by a long shot. Duquest had asked for me specifically. She showed me the note that had come with the request. Ronald Duquest, Hollywood. If you got this, you know my number. I really liked High Kill by your client, Jack Daley. Good, natural storytelling talent. Could he write a short book for me? We got an idea sounds right up his alley. A sci-fi monster and a returned vet. I can put a little up front. 10 grand to write the book, and he keeps all the book rights. We'll send another contract if we like the book for a movie. Basically $50,000 for an 18-month option against $500,000 if the movie gets made. Make that start of principal photography. Don't want to haggle, but I have the check right here if you want it. Signed, Duke D. I wasn't sure quite how to take that, but I'd seen several features by Ron Duquest and liked his light touch. I asked her what he meant by a short book, and she said a novella, between 100 and 200 typed pages. Sort of the opposite of what I normally thought of as a novelization, which would be taking an existing movie script and cranking out a novel based on that. This might actually be easier, though. I could probably write 100 pages of acceptable prose in a couple of weeks, for twice what I got for the last novel. It